Despite Derby's convincing victory on the final day of the season, Borough's stoppage-time equaliser at Ipswich confirmed 5th place and set up a tie with the Claret and Blues. In anticipation of the two-legged showdown between Steve Bruce's team and Tony Pulis' men, football editor Matt Kendrick spoke to a Riverside expert. Dominic Shaw has followed Borough's fortunes for the Gazette home and away throughout the season. Here's what he had to say about Middlesbrough's form, the mood at the Riverside, Adama Traore's transformation and more. Sum up your season up and down. Well, probably more downs than ups. But it's finishing on a high. A reminder that Borough were pre-season favourites for the title. Monk's tenure didn't go to plan at all and Borough were bouncing from one week to the next looking nothing like promotion contenders. It wasn't an overnight fix with Pulis, but there's a clarity to what he wants and the players clearly know their roles and what's expected of them. Borough are finally looking comfortable in their own skin. Who have been your top 3 players this season, and why? Adama Traore. Monk just about gave up on him. Pulis, on the other hand, has worked wonders. In the second half of the season, Traore has tortured defenders by the week. He's been an absolute delight to watch. Daniel Ayala under Pulis. Ayala has not only looked back to his best in defense but is also a towering threat in the opposition box. 7 goals under the Welshman's watch. That would be a good return for a centre-forward. In Borough's promotion season, Ayala was arguably the best defender in the division. After a difficult spell in the top flight and under Monk, he's back on song. When are the championship playoffs? Everything you need to know. Darren Randolph. 16 clean sheets and a safe pair of hands. Borough made a lot of eye-catching signings in the summer, but Randolph, over the course of the season, has probably been the standout addition. He's one of the few players who has enjoyed a consistently quality season from start to finish. Sum up your thoughts on Villa's season. Efficient. From the outside looking in, there was an awful lot of pressure on Steve Bruce and Aston Villa this season, particularly after a shaky start. He's got a lot of big characters in there but has clearly got them all singing from the same hymn sheet. Getting the best out of players like Robert Snodgrass and Albert Adoma is obviously crucial, and Lewis Grabban was a smart bit of January business. When Borough beat Villa in the Capital One Cup at the start of the season, it felt like the club was ready to combust and the fans were turning on Bruce. Credit to Bruce and his players for getting back on track. Who is the Villa player you would most fear in the playoffs? Probably Albert Adoma. You know, former club and all that. He nailed on to have a stormer, particularly after the season he's had. Away from all that, though, Adoma has the big game experience at this level and knows the strengths and weaknesses of several Borough first-teamers. How would you describe the job your manager has done? As I mentioned above, it wasn't an overnight fix with Pulis. In fact, Borough failed to win, and failed to score, in his first 3 home league games in charge. Slowly but surely, though, he's put his stamp on the side. He was brave enough to make some bold January calls, such as allowing £8 million summer recruit Martin Braithwaite to leave without a replacement. He's cut out the sloppy defensive errors that plagued Monk's Borough but has also sparked a surge in goals. Borough have now scored in 13 successive games. He's worked wonders with Traore, has Patrick Bamford looking like himself again, and signed Mo Besic, who's been exceptional. What have been the 5 best moments of the season? QPR away, a 3-0 win, but what stood out was Traore. His first goal of the season and a sign of things to come for the winger under Pulis. Bamford's back. Traore isn't the only player who's come to the party, as Pulis puts it, in the second half of the season. A goal over Hull in February was the start of a sparkling run of 9 goals in 7 games for Bamford. Derby 1-2 Borough, the best performance of the season and a result that all but guaranteed a playoff place. 2-1 flattered Derby. October hope. The win at Reading in October was followed by victories against Hull and Sunderland. There was brief hope that Borough were finally finding their feet. It was good while it lasted. Besic signing. It obviously wasn't clear at the time, but the signing of Mo Besic would have a big impact on the second half of the season. He's looked a cut above. And the 5 worst? Early season misery. Slowly but surely it became apparent in the first half of the season that this Borough team were nowhere near good enough to smash the league as planned. Leeds setback. Those 3 October wins mentioned above, well, they were followed by a dreadful defeat at out-of-form Leeds. Borough were outfought and outplayed on a miserable afternoon. Fletcher. Whoa, it's been a season to forget for £6 million. Ashley Fletcher. A fringe figure at Borough in the first half of the campaign was followed by a disastrous loan spell at Sunderland in the second. Adama Red. That sending off against Villa in September was a real blow for Traore and Borough. It followed a win at Bolton when the winger was blisteringly brilliant. He never really recovered from that Villa setback until Pulis came in. Sheffield United no-show. Borough were shocking in the first half at Sheffield United in April. It was chaotic, shambolic, dreadful. Credit to the side for bouncing back and winning 3 on the bounce since. How would you sum up your fans this season? What have been the best chants? Booing became the soundtrack to the first half of the season as Borough put in one disappointing showing after another, but rarely did the fans turn on the players. Despite the disappointing performances, the supporters stuck with the side. Monk struggled to strike a relationship with the fanbase though, which no doubt contributed to his early exit. Only in the last few weeks has it felt like the Riverside regulars are starting to believe. The scenes at full time at Derby were outstanding, both on the pitch and in the stands. It feels like a long time ago when Borough fans were singing, "Gary Monk's taking us up like he said he would," now replaced by rousing choruses of Tony Pulis, Red and White Army. The best chant in recent weeks, though, came from the away end at Pride Park with the Rams seemingly suffering yet another playoff collapse. Derby County, it's happening again. Give us your semi-final prediction please, and explain why. 2 big clubs, 2 teams packed with talent, 2 experienced bosses, 2 sellouts. It has the makings of being an absolute ding-dong over 2 legs. Borough have won 8 of their last 9 home games and I fancy them to do the business at the Riverside. Protecting a lead and using the pace of Traoré on the counter at Villa Park will play into Borough's hands. It would come down to whether Villa can break them down.